Hi, I'm Tracy Chevalier. I am the author of 11 historical novels, and I'm going to talk today about time and playing around with time when telling a story. Most stories we tell are linear. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. So in my most famous novel, Girl with a Pearl Earring, it goes from A to B, goes through the months and the years, and straightforwardly, maybe the odd flashback, but that's it. There's another way of telling stories that I've done, which is I've taken two different time periods and interwoven them. So you go from one to another, maybe backwards or forwards, and back and forth. I did that with the Virgin Blue, where it's contemporary and 16th century. And I did it with At the Edge of the Orchard, which is two periods set 30 years apart. And that's fine, but it can be a little tricky because often the reader prefers one story over the other, and you get to the end of a chapter and you go to the next story and think, oh, no, I want to be back with the first story. So that's one danger, a pitfall to watch out for. You need to make both stories as compelling as the other. Not always easy to do. But there is also another thing I did with time, and that was with my most recent novel, The Glassmaker. It's set in Venice, and it takes place over the course of 500 years. I wanted to cover the amazingly rich history of Venice, going from a wealthy trade center in the Renaissance period to what it is now, which is a kind of Disneyland for tourists. How did it get to be like that? I needed to cover that much time. But I also wanted to stick with one family of glassmakers, particularly women making glass, and the first glass bead that was made by a woman that we know about, which is in the late 15th century. But I wanted to follow their history all the way up to the 21st century. How did I do it? Well, I was concerned that I was going to have to kill off the family. They were going to die naturally, and we would suddenly have to start caring about their great-great-great-grandchildren. And I really didn't like the idea of that. And I thought, well, how can I get around that? And one night I was lying in bed and I thought, well, what if they don't die? What if they just don't die? What if they age at a different rate from everyone else? Venice is such a timeless place. It seems like that's how it could happen. Time is different in Venice. So that's how I set it up. And my editors, when they first read the first draft I sent to them, they went, Tracy, they haven't died. Well, why not? And I realized I hadn't explained anything. So what I've done was to redraft it, giving the reader, giving you a little bit more help so that it doesn't feel so odd. Basically, I set a framework up where I say, relax. Here's the deal. This is what we're doing. Relax. Just go with it. And I did that by first looking at how other writers have handled this. Now, Virginia Woolf also did this with time in Orlando, her novel, where a young courtier in the Queen Elizabeth court, goes all the way up to the 20th century, and he skips over time and also changes sex. So I thought, if she can do it, so can I. And she does it with such a light touch. I also looked at Kate Atkinson's wonderful Life After Life, which plays with time by starting each chapter, the main character, Orsola, is born and then dies at the end of the chapter, and then goes the next chapter, she goes back and she lives a little longer and yet keeps dying. And Kate Atkinson just describes it so simply, and in a way I learned from her that you don't have to be really elaborate here. You just have to reassure the reader that you know what you're doing. So that's what I've done. I think it lifts the novel. It gives you the opportunity to play around in your mind, and I think that playing with time can be a really wonderful way to tell a story. So when you're thinking about telling your own story, don't necessarily feel you have to be linear the way most books are. You could think about splintering it or going backwards. There's all kinds of things. Once you start looking, you realize there's lots of things you could do. So I wish you luck and have a good think about time.